Lord, Hallelujah. For always finding it fit to invite me to your church, and also for accepting my request to come to speak in your church. We are very grateful for that. Thank you so much. And then let me also thank everyone who is here for making time to come and be with us tonight. And we hope that what God has sent us to, the message that He has sent us to share with you tonight, to be received well. Amen. Alright, so today we'll be talking about God's intent for family wealth. I'm sure for those of you who have seen me coming here before, you know that I speak mostly about money and wealth. Yeah. Right? But not to boast or anything, but it's because I believe that we have been, given the blessing of wealth, all of us.
So you can say.
Oh, so yes, please. Yeah. I was already going in. Okay. Yes, I was saying it's because I believe that each and every one of us has been blessed with great wealth. And it's very important that for those of us who have been privileged to work in environments where we have learned how wealth can be created, we share what we know with everyone, so that you also can believe that God really wants you to make something out of your life. So today we are going to be talking God's intent on family and wealth. But I want us to start by defining what a family is, right? So the definition that I've got is that a family is a group of people who love, care for, and support one another in both good and bad times. They are united by a shared commitment to each other and to God. So I'm sure that each and every one of us here comes from the setup of a family. And you will agree with me that those are people that even when you're doing something bad, they still accept you back into the family. Right? So when you are going astray, they still believe that at some point you will turn around and come back and become the person that they know that you can become. That is a family. Those are people that love you unconditionally. You can fight with them. You can speak bad about them. But every time when you are going through a situation, those are people who will, always comfort you, bring you back, accept you back into their family. I remember when I was young, I used to, fight a lot with my brother. So every time when we go out to play, we'll have those, brotherly fights. But you will realize that we are brothers the moment somebody else comes in and tries to fight any one of us. That's when people will know that these guys are actually brothers, even though they fight. Right? Whenever third party comes, that is when you are going to know that this is family. Now we fight against that person. So you can imagine if we live a life where we are not connected with our families, anyone can attack us because we don't have protection, right? And that becomes the devil's playground, really. When you are not connected with your family, with the people that love and care for you unconditionally. So today, I want us all to read on Genesis 1, verse 27 to 28. We are going back to the beginning. God wanted to create a family because He desired to share His love and goodness with us, right? And Genesis 1, 27 to 28 reads, "So God created mankind in His own image. In the image of God, He created them. Male and female, He created them. God blessed them and said to them,
Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground. This scripture here is quite loaded. If you read it slowly, you will realize that we should not lack. We have been given authority. We have been given the right to rule, to subdue, to bring under control everything that is owned by God. And right now, most of us are sitting there and you are thinking, there's a lot that I need and I can't find it. There's not enough for me to live on. You are sitting there, you are seeing rich people over there driving big cars, staying in big houses, controlling the roads, controlling government and all of those things, and you feel like that is not for you, that is for certain people. But God here is saying that if you believe that you are a child of God, these are the instructions that you've been given. He wants you to bring under control everything that he owns. Basic management of his kingdom. He speaks about that in Genesis 1, verse 27 to 28. So now, this is the question that we need to be asking ourselves on a daily basis. Why are we poor? Why are we poor? Why are we lacking? What is it that we are lacking? Is it something that can be touched? That is the question that we need to be asking ourselves. And then when we go back to the beginning, when we read Genesis, we realize that God has given a very, very straightforward instruction to say that everything that lives in his kingdom belongs to all of us. But then the question will be, are we taking charge? Are we claiming what is rightfully ours? Or are we just sitting back and saying, well, maybe not for us, maybe for others? And then we continue to pray without real faith. Because your faith is tested, really, when you start acting on what you have prayed for. You can pray all day, you can pray all night, but if you are not acting and going out there and saying, I'm claiming what is rightfully mine, then there is no faith. I always say, you can't have fear and faith in the same room. It's either you have one or the other. You can't say, I fear, but I've got great faith. It never happens like that. You either fear to say that I don't trust that God can provide. I don't trust that God can meet his promises. Or you have faith. You are saying, everything that I touch will turn into gold. Because he is with me all the time. He has promised that he will give me when I have faith, when I trust in him. So like 3 key lessons that God wanted us to learn from the union of a family. And I'm talking about a family because I follow a lot the Jewish way of doing things in life. They're very principled when it comes to family. You show me any Jewish man who is rich, I'll show you who they spend most of their time with. They're very strict when it comes to issues of family. They're always with their children, always with their spouses, always with their brothers and sisters and cousins and all of those things. Because here's the thing that sometimes I think we fail to understand about family. When 2 people get married, it's not just the 2 who are coming together. They're creating a community. You are bringing your spouse's family, they are bringing their family, right? It becomes a connection of so many people with so many different skills, with so many connections that we can leverage on. But what do? We get married and then we forget the rest. That is where the problem is. But when you look at the way that God designed it, he did not design it for just 2 people. He knew that when these 2 people combine, they're bringing so many other people together, it becomes a community. You form a community. Back in the day, I think the Basara tribe are still doing it. They still live in small clans. So you and your spouse and your children, you start a community. In a couple of years, there's way more of you, right? If somebody gets married, the community just keeps on growing and growing and growing. And they keep on starting that just to show that a family is a community. Economies are created from communities, not the other way around, right? So 3 key lessons that God wanted us to learn from the union of a family. The first thing is that God wanted to create a family for companionship. There are certain things that you can only learn from, having been in a family setting, right? To show us what it means to be in a relationship. Right now, I read so many comments on Facebook where people are saying, Batswana cannot partner, Batswana don't know how to form partnerships, right? They want to work on their own. And one of the reasons why maybe they feel that way is because they have never really, understood the power of companionship, the power of a relationship from a family setting. They have never really trusted their brother or their sister or their parent or their cousin, right? It doesn't start when you start a business. They have never trusted, so they have never felt what family really is for. But God knew that family should be an incubation. That is where people are going to be taught what a relationship means, right? What it means for someone to hurt you and forgive them later. What it means for someone to hurt you during the day, but you have to sleep with them at night. That is what family really shows you, right? We have learned living with our cousins, with our brothers and sisters, that you need to know how to squash your grudge. Because at the end of the day, you are sharing a bed with your cousin, you are sharing a bed with your brother, with your sister, right? So once you learn how to do those things, it becomes easy for you to be in partnership in business. Because then you can fight with your partner in a boardroom, you are disagreeing on a certain deal that had to be done. You are saying, no, we can't do this deal. I don't think it's ethical. You fight, you lose that deal. It's worth a couple of millions, but you still don't break up. Because you know that that partner is your brother or that partner is your sister. You are with them for the long term, right? You are connected. So that is exactly what God wanted us to learn from family, to demonstrate love and compassion. And then the second thing is that God started a family to form a community. And I've spoken about this, and I will still emphasize it. Communities create economies. And every economy that is successful, you can judge it by how the family structures are. When you go to a country that is so successful and doing a lot of things well, when they are in business, they seem to be, progressing in business. They understand how everything is running. Go back to their family settings, you will see these people are connected from the foundation. The family setting is intact. They understand compassion. They understand that the people that you are saving, these are your children, these are your brothers, these are your cousins. So you can't be corrupt. Because whatever you take, which is not yours, you know that it will eventually affect your child. It will eventually affect your brother. You have learned these things from a family. And then the most important thing, which brings us to what we are discussing tonight, is that God wanted a family to create a community which will create wealth. Why is it easy for a family to create wealth? For one, we share resources with family, right? I don't know how many times you've heard anyone in our country complaining that they don't have resources to start up a business or anything. I don't have resources. I don't have land. I don't have a car. I don't have this. But when you go back and look at that family, the uncle has land, and the land is not being utilized. You have a brother who has 2 cars. One is not being used, and your business only needs 1. The problem is not the lack of resources. The problem is the lack of a relationship, is the lack of that connection that you need for your business to move ahead. We look at the Jewish community, and I'll give an example about the Jewish community so many times because when it comes to wealth creation, when you do your research, you will realize that Jews, wherever they are, in any country that they operate in, they are always among the 1% of the wealthiest people in that region. When they move from the States and come and stay in Botswana, they will become among the 1% in a short space of time. They move to France, you find the same thing. So it's not about, we can't say they're privileged because they're from a certain place. We can't. Because they're spread all over the world. But why are they becoming way wealthier than any other tribe or nation or religious group? They are because they understand the power of bringing resources together from a family point of view. Jews, when they visit banks for expansion most of the time, but they don't start up by seeking money from banks. We do that. We start by seeking money from someone who doesn't know you, someone who doesn't trust you, and then you complain that they are overcharging you. What do you expect? They don't know you. They don't trust you to an extent that they don't understand why your family did not help you with the money. That makes one uncomfortable. When I was a banker, whenever people came to me and said, look, I need so much money. And we say, okay, no, you need to raise a deposit on this, and they can't raise a deposit. Yes, they're saying that they need money to start a business. We are always worried. Are you going to be able to pay us? You can't raise 20% of the money that you need. You don't have friends. You don't have family who can support you, give you security or something like that. We have to be worried. What if the business fails? Because it often does. Who's going to support you, right? So these are things that we need to understand. So from the core, God expects us to build from the family. God expects us to raise or to bring resources together from the family. Now, how many of us actually know all the skill sets of our family members? Most of us are always shocked. I get calls sometimes from some of my family members. They will call and say, I saw you on TV. I didn't know you can do this, It's always a shock all the time because we don't know each other, right? And then when we start having, furthering our conversations, it will be like, did you know that I'm also running a business like this? Maybe you can come, you can help me here and there. We could have done that thing a long time ago. We could have been far. But you've been busy pursuing your own agenda. I'm pursuing mine. Everyone is pursuing their agenda. And we wonder why we are broke. But your uncle has a farm, a big farm. And you graduated with sciences in farming things and stuff like that. But you don't have land. And you are there, you are struggling. And God is saying, I have provided those things. They are there for you. You just need to seek them. And the first place to start is within your family. And then we speak of skills and talents. When you look at your kids, just your kids, we are not talking cousins and siblings and stuff. When you just look at your kids and you have a conversation with your kids, you'll realize that your kids are totally different. They possess different talents. We have seen in so many nations where a family starts a music band. They start traveling the country, they travel the world. One is playing the guitar, one is playing the piano, the other one is doing drums, the other one is singing. We have seen that so many times. Because whenever God plants a seed somewhere, he knows that that seed can be nurtured and foods can be produced in that area. It's not by mistake. So there's no way that you can have a certain talent which cannot be supported by the family. Never. So we need to look further. We need to interrogate our settings, where we come from. Sometimes we are misled to believe that only we can. Because maybe you have some successes there and there, and you feel like your family will drag you back. But truth is, there's too much support that you can get from those people. Amen. They have so much to offer. And sometimes a family is not just people that you were born with, because some of us, we are unfortunate not to have or not to be living among such people. Families can be created. Because remember, in the beginning, there were only two people. How did we come about? We are just one family. We are one big family. Every time when you connect with someone, we speak about networking all the time. You are with people, someone is sitting beside you, you are in church. Every day you see that person. For years and years you've been going to that church, and you don't know that is the person who has been sent to give you the blessings that you need in life. But you keep on praying. God, I need this person. Like that person is going to fall from the sky. That person is sitting next to you. Do you know what they can do? Do you know what the skills they have? What conversations are we having with people around us? We need to understand that, because this is how you pull talents together. This is how we create wealth. Now, if you look at the Muslim community, they don't just go to church only to pray. They go to church to network, to link, to connect. And I believe what has been done here with this platform is for the same reason. For people to come, learn from others, connect with others, right? Because that is where business is made. Guys, I can assure you, no financial institution wants to support anyone who is not bringing their own support system. Nobody wants to take a gamble on you. They don't know you. But you know why it's easy for the Muslim community to lend money amongst themselves? You know that this guy comes to church every Sunday. He comes with his wife knows my wife. His children, they play with my children. We have been meeting every other weekend. Sometimes we meet during birthday parties at their homes. I know where they stay. They've been staying there for the past 10 years. So now this guy is coming to me and saying, can you lend me $1 million? I won't hesitate. And it's very easy for him to say, can you lend me $1 million? I'm starting a business. I don't have anything to put up as security. His security is the fact that I know him. Someone who's been staying in that place for so many years, I know that he's not moving from that place anytime soon. I know where his children goes to school. His children are friends with my kids. So I'm comfortable with this person. That's why back in the day, banking used to be so personal. For you to get money, the branch manager needed to know you. I know this pastor, he always comes here, he deposits money here, I can vouch for him. And he'll be looking at your cash flows, and they don't make sense. And then he goes to the credit manager and says, I know this gentleman, he's a good man. He's looking for 500,000 to improve his farm. I know that he's a farmer. He's a good man, he's been coming here all the time. I know him, I know his family. They used to do that back in the day. But nowadays, there's lack of trust. We just look at your transactions. If they don't make sense, nobody helps you. But your family is the only structure that you can get back to, which can actually assist you on the things that you want, because they know you. They know whether you are trustworthy or if you are not trustworthy. Sometimes if you are not trustworthy, you can still borrow from your family. But then you will have to put some measures in place and say, look, can you borrow me some money? They know that you are skilled at that thing. But maybe you tell they know that you are reckless with money. Then you can say, can you borrow me money, but I will not have control of the account. But you know that what I want to do, I'm very good at it. You will have control of the money. You'll be the one who's doing payments and all of those things. Sometimes we fail to get what we want because we don't appreciate our strengths and our weaknesses as we approach those that we want to help us. So I want to give you a couple of stats that really speak to why it's important for us to use family in our journey to creating wealth. I've got stats here that show that married people, because normally families are formed through the union of marriage, it mostly starts there. It says that married people have a median household income that is almost twice of single people. This is not a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's by design. There are certain things that happen when people are married. There are certain behaviors. There are certain trends. There are certain systems that are put in place when people are married. There are certain blessings that come with the union of marriage. Some also say that married couples are more likely to own a home than single people. It says 72% of married couples own homes as compared to 43% of single people. The desire to want to have a piece of land, to be stable, that desire comes with that union. Sometimes when you are single, everything is easy. You can move there, move there, move there, move there. But when you start now creating a family, there are certain things that you don't want to be moving about every now and then. You want to be known to be staying somewhere. You want people to know that that family stays here. They have been here. You want to have a stable, right? It says that children raised in two-parent households are twice as likely to graduate from college than those raised in single-parent households. This is not to say that children raised in single-parent households cannot graduate from college. But it's saying you are most likely to succeed if in college, if you were raised in a two-parent home. And it's not just a two-parent home, it basically speaks about a child who has an entire community. You know, it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child, right? That is so real in so many different ways. So we need to understand the value of family and what family can do to enable us to succeed. You know how sometimes you struggle because you've always wanted to go to school, but you have little kids and there's no one who can take care of your kids while you continue to progress yourself in your education. But when you have a structure, when you have a community around you, it becomes very easy for you to make such decisions. You're going to do your masters for 2 years. You leave your children with your brother because you know your brother is capable of taking care of them, or with your sister, or with your parents, or with your in-laws. You can do that. You can play around like that. And it will give you, time to go out there, progress yourself so that later on you'll be able to achieve wealth. There are so many people who are stuck. They have great ideas of what to do, of how to make money, but they just can't because there's no one who's helping them. They can't leave their children with anyone. I agree, auntie, most of the time they will disappear at some point. They work for a couple of months and then tomorrow they're nowhere to be seen. So when you have young kids, sometimes it can really stress you out, and it can, it can damage your potential to progress at work because you are always giving excuses. No, I'll be late. No, auntie's not there. The children, things like that. And then I become generational. Because you failed to progress, you failed to create wealth. Now it's coming back to your kids. Your kids are starting where you started. They're going to go through the same journey, right? It continues like that. But wealth, it's a long-term thing. It has to be continuation. I need to move from here to there. My children need to start a step ahead of other kids if things are done properly. And then it also says that married couples have higher net worth than single couples. It says the median net worth of married couples goes in the regions of around 242,000 compared to 45,000 for single people. So with these stats, I'm just trying to show you that when you come from a family setting, when you come from a family that is, that is compact, your chances of creating wealth are way higher than people who only depend on themselves. Way higher. God deliberately designed us with limitations. We are limited in what we can do. We are limited in what we know. Right now, I need help from my pastor. He needs help from me. I need help from you. You need help from me. You need help from so many other people. We were not designed to be separated from other people. I always give an example in business. Sometimes people come to my office, they want to start a business. And they have their own plan. Mr. Rassos, I need you to help me with my plan here. This is what I want to do. And then they tell me about a great idea that they have of setting up a filling station somewhere between Mahalape and Palape. To them it's a great idea because they will be isolated from the rest of the people. What they fail to understand is that certain businesses, they need volumes, they need where people are. You need to be next to people that you say you are competing with. Those are your brothers. You know what happens when you are next to a business that is doing something that is similar to what you are doing? You learn from each other. When this guy puts on new lights to attract customers, you are like, where did you get those lights? And then you go and get those lights, right? You are improving as they improve. When it starts, they might think that it's a competition, but it's not. You're complementing each other. Tomorrow you are coming up with something new. Maybe you were traveling with your spouse, you went overseas. When you got there, you found something new, you come with it, you bring it to your store. He looks in, he says, where did you get that thing? You see, you keep on benefiting from one another. That's why we shouldn't be isolated from the rest of the people. We need to be where people are. Because we are only going to know where our strengths are when we are among people. Because people will test you. Family will test you. Your brother will test you to limits. That is when you are going to know yourself. But if you want to avoid everyone and be there by yourself, because you feel like when you are alone, that's when you are going to become successful, you are going to fail. Now we have a lot of them, and I hope that there's no one here who owns a filling station between Mahalape and Palape. When you pass them, there's no traffic. Because we fuel in Gaborone, you fuel again in Palape. Sometimes we can even get to Franston. That is the type of business. And then there are isolated businesses, but not really isolated. When you go to the deltas, it looks like it's isolated, but it's not. When you go to the deltas, those lodges are built somewhere near each other. It's a group of lodges around. Because they know that when this one is fully booked, people book you. When they are fully booked, people book the other one. And just think about yourself as a client. When you are looking for something, maybe say you are looking for plumbing materials, you are most likely going to go to an area where you know that you can find a lot of plumbing networks, hardwares. You don't want to go to a plumbing hardware which is over there by itself, because if you don't find what you want there, then it's going to be a long drive to find another one. So you want those that are nearer to each other, right? So in a family setting, if we knew all our skill sets within a family, it will be easy for us to know that whenever you receive information, wherever you are sitting, because every day we are receiving information. When I'm in my office, somebody comes to me and says, look, I was looking for something like this. Immediately, I have to be recommending someone. Immediately, I have to know who can actually provide that. That is where all of these nations that we feel are wealthy, that is where they beat us. That is where they beat us. Do you know how those people recommend? Like, have you been to a shop of most of this Jewish or Muslim communities? When you don't find something in that shop, they'll say, my brother owns a shop just this side. You can cross that side. You can find that thing there. Or just wait there. Let me call someone. They don't want you to leave because they want the money to be within their community. Why do they want money to be in their community? Because they know that they have the same values, they have the same plans and all of those things. The charities that they donate to are the same charities. The church that they donate to is the same church. So you want your fellow churchmate to become successful because you know that you are all contributing to the same cause. But if it's only you, there comes a time when God will give you a couple of tests. And he expects that as you had risen to the top, there was support. And he would expect that as he tests you, you'll have a structure to fall back on. Most of us can't. That's why we get so desperate to become successful to an extent that we end up being corrupt. Because we just can't afford to go down. We hang on to corruption. We lose our morals on our way because we don't want to go down. But if you have proper structures, if things are not happening well for you, it's happening well for your brother. It's happening well for your sister. They will support you. That is the structure of a family. So as I conclude, I just want to remind you that God intended for us to become wealthy. And everything that we see every day, it belongs to Him. And as His children, He's saying that we have all the rights to have those things. And it's very unfortunate that some of us are not living up to the standards of children who have a father who owns everything. We are not showing that. But that is exactly what He wants to see from each and every one of us. So I hope that you have received this message well today. And I hope that as you live here today, you will have an opportunity to start changing a couple of things, starting with your networks, going back to your family, and starting to spend a bit more time with your family to get to know them, and to know that God has put something in them that you can benefit from, and there's something in you that they can benefit from, right? We shouldn't be running away and saying, no, maybe if I was born in another country. God doesn't make mistakes. You are born here. You are meant to progress here and survive here. Amen. The conditions of this country are conducive for your growth. There's no lack. The world has not turned upside down like most people think. There are still children who get straight A's. There are still people who are graduating with PhDs. There are still people who are making millions every day. There are still people who seriously have great faith and they believe in God. Just like it was in the olden days, nothing has changed. So we need to focus on the positive and try to extract as much value from all the networks that we have and everyone that we are connected to that can help us to reach our destinations. So I thank you so much for being a good listener today, and I hope that God will continue to bless you in everything that you do. In the name of Jesus, thank you so much. And thank you so much, friends, for being with us this Sunday. We like for you to send us your comments. Re ka tokahatsa eng, re ka improve eng, re ka dira jang gore botshelo ba go bo tokahale. Do send those comments. O share content a rona le ditsala tsa gago le masika a gago le bona ba itse ba ikutlwe le se leng gore wa sa rata o setse e bile o batla go tshela le sone every Sunday. Remember to support the cause by buying any one of our books, Principles of Wealth Creation. Ke yone leng gore re kwadile re kwala wena gore o kgone gore o ipalele, o kgone go tokahatsa botshelo ba gago ba madi, botshelo ba gago ba khumo, gore o kgone go direla modimo ka tsela e leng gore o batla go direla ka yone. O ska spenda nako ntsi thata le gore you are worried about madi a leng gore o tshwantse gore o amogele kana madi a leng gore o tshwantse o a dire. You need to be worried more of how are you going to help God's children. Now this book is going only for 150 pula. And then we also have the financial journal, 100 extracts of financial content and different live content. Will never be the same. Yona is going for only 300 pula. So if you want to place an order, the details are on the screen below. Just make sure that you hit that number either by text or call, and then deliver anywhere within Gaborone. We deliver within 24 hours, but we can courier for you. You should be able to receive it within 24 hours still. And then I think that should be within 7 days. If you are nearer, it can be much earlier, but if you are far, within 7 days, that is what we promise. Thank you so much for being with us. Until we meet again, stay blessed.